National Education Trust is an agency of the Ministry of Education, a registered charitable organization, and more importantly, we were set up to meet the critical needs in the education sector for the transformation of education. So some of the projects that we've worked on include infrastructure development and the processing of donations such as computers, books that are coming into the education system. How NET decides on a project really is a needs assessment. A lot of times schools will send requests in, or the Ministry of Education actually sends us requests sometime for assistance. And we go, we visit the schools, we have a mini interview with the principals. We're looking at information such as population, areas of need that match with the ministry's development plan for that school, and what is it that a school really needs to effectively deliver the curriculum to the students, and for the students themselves to be comfortable in the environment in which they learn. So for donors, or to give donors the ease of mind, basically what we do, we have to report to donors. So project reports are provided to donors on everything that is done. 2, usually if you're giving us funding, it goes to an endowment account, and that endowment account is for NET's use for the project. 3, there's a donor bill of rights, which basically guides the relationship between NET and its donors, and it sets out the rights of a donor, which includes the right to information, the right to be informed of what we're doing, the right to dictate how your money is used, and we are held to that as a registered charitable organization. One of the things we want to do is to bring back philanthropy, and the type of philanthropy that we're interested in is what the education sector was founded on. The best example of that for us, the modern day version that we've executed, is at the Seymour Edwards Infant School in Clarendon.
Seymour Edwards Infant School is the brainchild of Mr. Noel Edwards and Miss Ruthlyn Seymour. Mr. Edwards, before he died, instructed his family to form a foundation to gain funding to build the institution.
So the Seymour Edwards Trust set up, basically they gave us the land, they gave us the capital, and we did the project management and ensured that the school was constructed within the agreed timeline. And it's now operational for at least 2 years. And we're now working with the principal and the administration to get it as a certified infant school.
Well, with the foundation and the guidance of the lawyer, the National Education Trust came into play in building the institution. Why? Because the National Education Trust know what an early childhood institution should look like, the needs that need to be in place for the institution, as well as the guidelines, the policies and procedures that should be followed when one is building an early childhood institution.
Sometimes I don't have time to teach my kids, and when they come home they can say to me, "Mommy, this is what my teacher teach me. This is what I learned today."
Having my kid going here is very important because she learns a lot of new stuff, and so she can come home and say, "Mommy, I learned this today."
So Breadnut Hill Primary is one of our grants project under the Grassroots Human Security Project that's run by the Embassy of Japan.
Before the grant from the National Education Trust, we had no perimeter fencing. We had problems with goats coming over. We had persons were able to enter the compound at their will. And then you have sometimes you have to be monitoring the students, because sometimes they're playing and they will just rush through the gate without thinking and was hit.
If you went to that school before, for example, you would have seen a total parking area or schoolyard that's full of stones. You know, it's quite hazardous for the children.
I didn't like how the school looked. It didn't have any fencing. The walls were dirty. It had a lot of stones and all the white dirt. I used to play, and sometimes I fell and hurt myself on the stones.
We had regular occurrences of students falling, cutting. We had to be taking them to the health center. We had to be dressing. We had students who got broken legs
You worry as a parent because you don't want anything to happen to them. When they go to school, you try to tell them not to run and to walk as much as possible because of the stoniness of it. Also, the partition, because you couldn't hear the other class because they were so close together and they didn't have a partition between them.
Before, we had partitions on a grade basis by chalkboard. So we had a whole lot of noise interference and stuff.
There's so many things that schools require, and we're talking about simple things such as books, ICT infrastructure such as smart boards, retrofitting of classrooms to accommodate ICT. And because of the costs associated with infrastructure, it tends to be an area that not a lot of people really go out and get involved with because it's a little bit more technical than just handing over some backpacks or some books. So donations to National Education Trust are in three forms really. It's time. If you want to volunteer at a school, we can coordinate that for you. If you want to carry out works at a school, we can coordinate that. So like a Labor Day project, for example, we can coordinate all of that activity with the schools. You can walk into an NCB branch, we're set up as a merchant, and you can give to a project if you want. And it's in kind, which involves books, computers, any form of learning resource that you want to give to education. One thing I'd really like donors to understand and to know is that NET is here to make your life easier. We simplify things for you. We go through all the red tape, and we basically ensure that what you're trying to do fits within the direction that the Ministry of Education is going with education, and that you will basically realize the output or the outcome that you want if you follow our guidance in executing your projects. Okay, one of the reasons I think persons are hesitant sometimes, and one of the things we've heard is that, hey, we already pay our education tax, so why are we going to give again? People need to understand that yes, education gets a good percentage of the national budget, but that really cannot meet the wide area of needs that exist out there. The government needs help. That's the bottom line. And we just have to be serious and realistic that if we are going to create an environment and if we're going to create opportunities for our children and to really see our children blossom and bloom into the individuals that we want as for nation building, then we have to give back to education.
Make our future a brighter one and donate.